Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Idavox Report. My name is Daryle Jenkins, and we are here with Beth Foster and Brian Powers. Our boy Christian is not here. Christian Perez cannot join us today, so which means we gotta chill on talking about the show that we went to earlier last week. It was phenomenal, but that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to wait till he gets here. He won't be here today, so it'll probably be the next show when we do this. What's up, you guys? What's going on?
Well, after 2 weeks of COVID with my whole family, I'm starting to come back to life and trying to find out all I missed during those lost days.
Oh man, how? Now you and COVID are friends, right?
It's our second round. The entire family got it. The first time last September, fully vaccinated, boosted. So we survived, but it still wasn't a lot of fun.
No. I mean, but we got to figure out why it keeps happening to you.
I never go anywhere. I don't interact with humans, but I have a 3-year-old nephew, and children just seem to pick up every virus, germ, everything, and then they spread it around.
Yeah, but if that's the case, why isn't Brian getting hit?
Yeah, what's your
I've been fully vaccinated, and I just got my second booster. It's been in my house. A couple of my kids got it. Even though they were vaccinated, but the one kid had pretty bad sore throat, pretty bad upper respiratory symptoms for like a day and a half, maybe. But that was like the worst of it. So I think most of my whole family. There's 6 of us in a pretty small house up here. And only a couple of us came down with symptoms, so the rest of us. Nothing.
Hey, I mean, I'm one of the lucky ones. I never got hit. Yeah. I never got hit. I mean, I'm vaccinated, I'm boosted, and all that. I just never got hit. I mean, the worst that I've had over the past couple of weeks was postnasal drip or something like that. There's this cough that I keep getting hit with every now and again, but just some nasal spray in my nose and it clears it right up. So. But that doesn't mean I'm without my ailments. I mean, I have some ailments that just get a little bit too icky to talk about on a podcast. So let's not discuss. I mean, none of it's COVID, but it's just annoying to, I don't want to get into it. It's just rude.
Gotta do it. Get healthy, man. Stay healthy. We need you around for a long time.
We need y'all around.
We got a lot of work to do.
Hey, we're at that age where we got to be prepared to pass the torch. I mean, the main reason why we do this podcast is because we're just basically being teachers, telling people what's going on out there until we can't no more, and then they just got to take up the work that we've been doing, because
hopefully that's a long time from now. We got a lot.
Yeah, hopefully that is a long time. It is a long time, but we're just following the footsteps of some giants out there. By the way, we are recording this on the 163rd anniversary of the raid on Harper's Ferry.
Today, go ahead, Daryle.
Today is that day. I remember when we did a kind of like a little play of some sort about John Brown and the raid on Harper's Ferry. We didn't just do it on John Brown, though. We did it on a couple of people who were either slave revolters and such. Basically, what I've been doing over the past 2 months or so, I decided to use One People's Project channel to do this day in the history. So like every day there'll be something that important that happened. And I have been running into some gems that I have never realized happened in our history. I mean, because when you start going global and stuff like that, you start hearing about you start seeing some crazy stuff that happened. Like back in, I said on this day in history, or on this day, not only did we have John Brown's Harper's Ferry raid, today was the anniversary of the Million Man March, but let me see. Yesterday was the anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party.
Today is also the 184th birthday of my great-great-great-grandfather, who fought for the Union Army and has kind of been an inspiration to me, kind of an anti-fascist a few generations ago. So,
well, what's his name? His name Now, what state was he from?
He was from Kentucky.
Kentucky. Kentucky was still a Union state. That's right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so now, but
it's like the Confederacy conquered Kentucky after the war.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, it still looks like Ron Paul's going to win this year, isn't it?
Oh, no. My man Charles is going to come through.
Okay, good. That's all I need to hear.
We are seeing a lot of signs. I mean, we had a conversation about it yesterday, and we have hope. We think it's still possible. So. Okay.
All right. Well, crossing fingers. I'm worried about next year because in Kentucky, you got Brashear, who actually apparently, I mean, there was some story about how he was the most popular Democrat
He's got
in the country.
69% approval rating right now.
That's a good thing. And I hope it stays that way because he may be up against the guy, and he's a black man, but a pure MAGA, straight up MAGA. But he's up against the guy, I forgot his name, who was the attorney general that let the cops off, who killed Breonna Taylor.
Has also really fought against any abortion access. Let me give you just a second. I'll give you his name. I don't know. Daniel Cameron.
And he's a straight up disappointment. I mean, like you said, straight up MAGA. So yeah, he's going to be anti-abortion. He's going to be pro cops that kill black people. Mm-hmm. Never mind just pro cop that kill black people. So while they're sleeping in their beds.
That Republican field for governor, though, it's getting really crowded. So I'm hoping they'll beat each other to death in the primary, and we can go into the general real strong.
I hope so too. I mean, I'm looking forward to this. I'm really going to be curious. It's really curious to see what will happen in November across the country. I mean, I'm not going to make any predictions because there's too much stupid going on. Yeah. I mean, when I saw Herschel Walker debate Raphael Warnock for the Senate seat down in Atlanta, Walker just, I mean, come on, how do you diss diabetics?
Oh.
I mean, speaking as one, I'm not offended because I have rather thick skin on this, but how do you do that?
Future Kentucky Senator Charles Booker had a lot to say about that, too. It's a type 1 diabetic his entire life. You know, it was very offensive.
And but then but everybody's talking about how he flashed his cop badge and he wasn't even supposed to have a prop, as they said. It's like there's so much of that. And then you see Carrie Lake in Arizona, who's running for governor out there. She's pushing for, well, they say she's pushing for succession. I got to be careful because sometimes you get caught up in the rhetoric and you don't want to do that. So,
well, I mean, the badge, I mean, when they found out that this guy was a violent man who abused his spouse and was prone to mental, problems, the cops showed up and gave him a badge like they did with everybody like that. I mean. Yeah.
And then we got J.D. Vance out there.
Oh, J.D. Vance. Yeah, I forgot about that one, out of Ohio. Yeah. But I mean, it looks good. It looks good in Ohio. All right, shut up. Stopwatch. Stopwatch just warned me that it was now time to move to the next segment, but that's okay.
It doesn't have to be a hard and fast rule.
Doesn't have to be hard and fast, but no, J.D. Vance. He got skewered by Tim Ryan. Tim Ryan is the guy who's running against him. He got skewered because Donald Trump went up there and said that basically JD Vance was kissing his ass for his endorsement, and Tim Ryan just let him have it with that. And you sit there and look at all these folks that are supposed to win and folks that are supposed to lose. I'm not saying whether or not I like them.
Right.
I got to stress that. But when you look at it, it's just like we don't know what's going to happen. What we do know is oh yes. Christian has Beth just put that up in there.
I didn't think we had the agenda.
Yeah,
And I didn't.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that next.
Okay.
We'll get to that right after I make this point. One of the things, because I can actually do a good segue into that. One of the things that we got to bear in mind is that, the election day might not go our way. It might not be a positive thing, but there are options. And I mean, we don't want to trust the criminal justice system, but there's some folks that should be on the hook and ready to just be wiped out like that. And then there's the civil justice system. And we got to start using that more. And that brings us to Alex Jones.
What a week for Alex.
Since you reminded us of that, why don't you just pop it off for us?
Well, I guess the most astonishing thing to me was how he's using this as a fundraiser, and was fundraising while the verdict's being read, and these families that have suffered so much there's so much grief for them, even associated with the verdict. And
well, before we go further, let me just explain to everybody what's going on. It's Alex Jones is a right-wing conspiracy theorist with a podcast, not just a podcast, but a damn media empire called InfoWars. He's a conspiracy theorist that basically just pulls whatever's out of his ass and calls it truth. And one of those things that he did was say that the shooting in Sandy Hook back in, I believe, 2014 was fake. And he went on a whole thing for weeks upon months upon years saying that it was a fake thing just to try to get our guns or whatever. So the victims, the families of the victims, the families of those children that were killed in that horrific crime were being attacked by his followers, either in the street or online or what have you. And it was damaging them even further. So, they took him to court. They sued him for libel, for defamation, and they won. What's
the verdict?
The verdict was that he made it easy during the trial because he was just being an idiot. But the fact of the matter is he won, and his and they was coming up with punitive damages. $963 million, and it goes over $1 billion when you add the other punitive damages that he's been hit with, and he's not done because there's others that are suing him that are going to even take that even further. And he's, like you said, Beth, he's on his show. Trying to raise money and trying to be obstinate about the whole thing. I mean, he's got to do that. What else he got? So,
and I think it's important that everybody knows how he's using the bankruptcy laws. He's made his money selling crap to people, vitamins and supplements that are total
garbage,
fake oils. Yeah, but he's made one of his companies declare bankruptcy and is trying to say they can't. I don't know, but he's using bankruptcy laws to say he doesn't have the money. And there's the possibility of bankruptcy scam that he could be charged with, misusing bankruptcy laws so that he doesn't have to pay the verdict.
Well, I do know. Oh, go on, Brian.
I mean, it's typical in cases where there's big money involved and lawyers and whatnot that people who are found to avoid damages use bankruptcy laws. I don't know necessarily that he's been accused of doing anything illegal. None of it's ethical and none of it's moral, but that doesn't mean it's not illegal. It's not perfectly legal. I know that there was a big expose done by a news source that, sorry, I can't cite, but talking about corporations that will use bankruptcy laws to push the debt of a court finding onto a company that they spin off of and then bankrupt that company right away. So I know this is a personal liability, and that may change, how well you can really hide your money, because you're not a company, you're a human being. Right. If you have a bank account that's subject to asset seizure, then it's kind of hard to hide it without breaking the law, because you'd have to literally, stash money in somebody else's account. You have to get your buddy to put your money in his account and then let you use his name in his account, which would be hiding money. That would be illegal. I don't know how you would get out of it, but listen, when it's almost $1 billion involved, that means lawyers are going to be crawling all over this because they're all going to get a piece of it. So there's plenty of money to be had by the lawyers involved, no matter which side you're on. So it's going to be a legal fiasco for a few years to come, I think is what my understanding is of it.
Well, earlier, a Texas jury had awarded two parents, $49.3 million. So that takes it over that $963 million into over $1 billion. And according to what they did in the Texas case, an economist in the Texas case estimated that he was personally worth between 135 and 270. Now, I do know that the parents were saying that he was trying to hide his assets. They said he tried to hide $62 million from any kind of judgment that's coming up against him. InfoWars itself, their finances aren't public. According to trial testimony, the site brought in revenue. I'm reading Reuters right now. The site brought in revenue of at least $165 million between 2016 and 2018. And I've always, and here's what they say about Free Speech Systems filed for bankruptcy in July. The Sandy Hook families intervened in the case and accused Jones of withdrawing up to $62 million from Free Speech Systems while burdening it with $54 million in quote-unquote concocted debt owed to a different company owned by Jones and his parents. Mm-hmm. So the thing about it is it says according to Reuters, law professor out of UConn, University of Connecticut, his name is Minor Myers. It says no bankruptcy judge would allow Alex Jones and his dad to stand in line in front of the plaintiffs. And the fact of the matter is, even if he is successful in his bankruptcy endeavor, they can families can still go after him for the rest of his life, just hitting him going after wages and other assets. All I want to know is, how do we get a piece of that InfoWars shit? We can use that stuff here.
Do you think this will help at all to stop this kind of disinformation and the damages?
It all depends on what, I'm going to be honest, I know Brian's shaking his head. I mean, it will if we were vigilant this way. Because let's face it, the right has been basically living off of proven lies. Mm-hmm. Lies that you can just shoot down just by cracking open a book, just by going on to Google. And because of that, people have been hurt. I mean, I never sued Tucker Carlson and the Daily Caller for this, but a couple of years back, they put out a story regarding me showing porn at a press conference.
I remember that, Daryle.
Yeah, and I never did. It was just, I remember what happened. I remember they said that, the thumbnails, because it was supposed to be on my tablet, and I was trying to show a picture of James O'Keefe at a white supremacist conference, at a white supremacist gathering, and he didn't and the picture didn't come up. Instead, these thumbnails or whatever of all these other pictures came up. None of them porn, but Alex Pfeiffer, the guy who wrote the story for the Daily Caller and who was currently a producer on Tucker Carlson's show and a friend of one of his sons, he decided to say I had porn on the website, on my tablet. Apparently, and I got to clarify this, he had some connection with James O'Keefe too. So James O'Keefe was happy as hell. You know, so, you know, I had to deal with that all the way up into Charlottesville, and theoretically, I could have slammed the Daily Caller, but I just didn't have the money for a lawyer.
Yeah,
I do now. So if it comes up again, but that was the crazy thing. I mean, we have to actually start going after these knuckleheads whenever they oh, by the way, when they do this crap. By the way, when I went to CPAC that year, that was the year that Richard Spencer got thrown out, Conservative Political Action Conference. While I was dealing with Richard Spencer trying to pull his shit, Alex Pfeiffer came walking in. I don't think he expected to see me. I thought, yo, get your ass over here. The thumbnails portrayed white women in compromising positions. Really, brah?
So I actually have a thought, and you know, we could discuss it, because I don't know, anybody could really take this up as a cause, because I have always taken issue, you know, and would love to sue the Department of Homeland Security for listing Antifa as a terrorist organization.
They haven't.
Some of them still have. I know New Jersey's Department of Homeland Security had us listed as terrorists. And one of the things that kind of, I think, would go in our favor is recent, you know, in this January 6th hearing. And some of the subsequent news reporting is saying that the FBI clearly knew what was going to happen. And so why would they not stop it? Well, because there were lots of people in the FBI that were in support of it, that thought it was a good idea, that this was right up their alley as far as the direction they wanted to help this country go in. And so what we're seeing is that law enforcement action, I don't know that much is going to come of it, because this administration and most of our politicians love cops for some reason. I mean, they're just the favorite people in the whole world. But there is some revelation going on that, you know, law enforcement was involved in January 6th, and law enforcement has traditionally targeted peaceful left-wing activists while allowing lunatic fringe right-wingers to do whatever it is the hell they want. I'm
sorry, I cut you off.
No.
And now you went blank. Okay. But no, it's like, there has been cases, especially after 2020, where that has been the case, where some municipalities have gotten sued. But that takes some time. That takes some serious work. We really got to, it's basically the route that we probably will have to take eventually. But I'm thinking more on the lines of, in this case, it's a little bit more direct, go after these so-called conspiracy theorists and the like for their BS. We don't really do that. Like I said, I should have done that in 2017 when they pulled out that porn story. I just didn't have the resources to do it, but I can damn sure pull it off now. But I'll tell you another thing that came up, and I was watching Bill Maher, who was always a good very useful in showing just how bad liberals can get, because he considers himself to be a liberal, but shows us how bad, and more, to be honest with you, he's a libertarian, and he has been increasingly getting worse, as we have said in shows past. And he's decided to take on the anti-transgender thing, you know. So in the course of actually going after Herschel Walker for his little debate performance on Friday, he went after him on that. But then he decided to go into this diatribe about the reason why the right is putting up all these whacked out characters is because they don't care anymore. I mean, they just basically because we pissed them off so much, we've taken everything away from them. And that was wrong to Bill Maher. We aren't allowing them to be as racist as they want to be or whatever. So they're lashing out by putting up these whacked out characters, and they're going after, and we're showing ourselves to be a little bit ridiculous in our demands. And he cited as an example this woman in Ontario who's supposed to have huge breasts. I can't remember her name right now. She's supposed to be transgender. And Kayla Lemieux, that's her name. She is supposed to have been somebody who likes to wear prosthetic breasts to work. And I mean, huge prosthetic breasts. And he made a big deal about that as being an example of the things that we advocate for, that, you know, the general public can't tolerate or general public couldn't understand, and the things that the right latches on to. It's coming out now that the whole story was a hoax, that the whole story was a lie, and it came from rebel media. That, which is a white supremacist, for lack of a better term, media outlet. And Bill Maher fell for it because the only people that he wants to listen to are those assholes.
I've seen these segments before, and it's just like, to me, it highlights Bill Maher's ignorance. It's like any other bullying situation. It's really, if you're watching it like a normal, healthy, emotionally healthy human being, you have to recognize that Bill Maher is an infant. And it's basically just stuff he doesn't understand, so he makes fun of it. And honestly, even if it wasn't a fake story, who gives a shit?
Exactly.
I don't care if somebody wants to come to work with giant fake breasts on. I would probably enjoy it.
She was supposed to be a teacher. She was supposed to be a teacher. So that, and they're all about this whole protecting the children thing. And and they seem to have a hard time doing it when it's like Jim Jordan or Dennis Hastert. But
and which children are they protecting?
But that's what these segments are. That's what these segments are. It's Bill Maher making fun of people because he's a giant jackass. It's about him. It's not about.
It's really not him. I mean, he actually is. See, I'll tell you what it is. He spent much of the past couple of years going after the Muslim community. And be honest with you, just give you an idea of how bad he has been in that regard. When the shooting happened in Christchurch, New Zealand, when the mass shooting against the Muslim community happened there, the guy basically said that, he's a white supremacist and he was doing it because they were Muslims and they needed to go. Bill Maher went on his show knowing this, but decided to blame incels. Just take it away from that. And that gives you an idea how pathological he is. Basically, I always tell people, if you want to not, if you take all the evil things said about Jews and change Jew to Muslim, that's Bill Maher's show. So he stopped doing that because he was catching hell. He actually stopped a little bit. But then he started on the whole cancel culture thing. He started complaining about how cancel culture is wrong, this and that. But then he starts attacking the transgender community. He said, wait a minute, man, which is it? You know? So it's like, I can go on forever about Bill Maher. And I keep going, I will further my resolve. I will never have anything to do with that son of a bitch. But the fact of the matter is, this weekend he pretty much showed himself to be the ass that he is, considering he tried to peddle an anti-transgender story that not only wasn't true, it was probably coming from people who wanted to. It was more than likely coming from people who do not have the best interests of anyone's at heart. So it's just it was frustrating as hell. But then again, it goes back to what I was saying. It's just bottom line is whenever these things happen, the folks that are responsible just simply need to be held accountable for it. I mean, Mark Lindell is being held accountable by Dominion for lying about their voting machines. And that's what's going to make the difference. I mean, vote there. We do have options. We do have options. And we got to remember that we have options. And we can still protect freedom of speech. There is nothing wrong with that. And the thing we have to remember is that we also have the right to not have anything to do with a certain person or a certain entity once that speech is uttered. If I hear something that I don't like, I keep my distance. I will keep my distance. I mean, you can't stop me from doing that. Which means if Elon Musk takes a hold of Twitter and all these idiots show up, you can bet that a whole bunch of people are going to say, you know what, later for Twitter, we're done. And I think that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Elon Musk, to be honest with you. I swear, I mean, I think there were some things that were coming down this week that was like pissing everybody off.
I think just the idea that we have any human being with the amount of money that Elon Musk has and the power that gives him, that he can try to negotiate peace between Russia and Ukraine, and then when Ukraine is like, don't be giving away our territory with your peace proposals, he's threatening off Starlink. It's absolutely ludicrous that one human being who has no accountability to any group of peoples beyond the fact it's just cash has that kind of power.
And by the way, before we go on about talking about the Ukraine, I'm going to tell you right now, anybody who's listening who was trying to talk about Ukrainian, why are we defending Ukraine? They got Nazis there. Some of you out there have never really gone after Nazis before until you decide that it's time to go after the son of Jewish Holocaust survivors or grandson of Jewish Holocaust survivors and say that and try to defend Putin, who actually has a Nazi as an advisor. You know, I'm not listening to you. I listen to those folks that are in Ukraine right now fighting it, because a lot of them are anarchists. All right. So absolutely. So y'all can kiss my ass with the whole Ukraine Nazi thing. They dealt with their Ukrainian Nazi problem.
Because there ain't no Nazis in Russia.
Yeah. Oh no, there's Nazis in Russia, but they're the good ones. We don't have to pay attention to them, you know. But back to Elon.
Nazis in the United States. Oh, there is a Nazi in the United States. It's President Donald Trump. Did you all see what he posted on Truth today? This like blatant anti-Semitism.
Yeah, let me get that because I actually tweeted that out.
I didn't see it. Can you educate me?
Because Jews have to get their act together and appreciate what they have in Israel before it's too late, Trump wrote.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I got it on my thing. As a matter of fact, it's blowing up my Twitter right now because I said those who let me find it right quick because I just said something about if you ever said never again, the time has come to reinforce that shit. Because he said this: no president has done more for Israel than I have. Somewhat surprisingly, however, our wonderful evangelicals are far more appreciative of this than the people of the Jewish faith, especially those living in the U.S. Those living in Israel, though, are a different story. Highest approval rating in the world could easily be PM. U.S. Jews have to get their act together and appreciate what they have in Israel before it's too late. And I added to this, Baked Alaska, Tim Giannet, January 6th defendant and straight up Nazi who was in Charlottesville. He goes, let's see. In the past 12 hours, Kanye named the Jewish media, went off on the Zionists, and now Trump is demanding Jewish people get their act together. Yeah, I'm thinking we're back. No, not anything that is causing Nazis to think that they are back is a bad thing. And by the way, if you're a black man that makes them do that, you a problem, Kanye. You are a problem. Brian doesn't know this, but what happened was Kanye, fresh from his White Lives Matter t-shirt, whatever the hell, decided to post this about. Let me get this up because I want to make sure that we say exactly what it is he said here on Twitter. I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, not DEFCON. DEFCON. He tries to qualify this by saying, the funny thing is I can't actually be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew. Also, you guys toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone whoever opposes your agenda. Well, my agenda is to not be anti-Semitic. So yeah, I'm a blackball the shit out of you. But this was just one of the few things that Kanye West did. I mean, I just mentioned the White Lives Matter shirt, and he was wearing it with he at a fashion show, at one of his fashion shows, and he was there with our favorite person of everybody's, Candace Owens, a black woman who can never say anything positive about black people unless they're standing next to her with a shirt saying White Lives Matter. And by the way, Kanye says he wore that shirt because he believes that Black Lives Matter is a scam. Well, if he's looking at Black Lives Matter as an organization, remember that White Lives Matter is a white supremacist organization that helped initiate the fighting in Charlottesville. So if we can't keep playing games with these celebrities who make all this money and try to use it to advance white supremacy and be black at the same time. So, of course, I don't even need to say what Candace Owens says because, frankly, she makes her money saying stupid shit. So, but that's what's getting Kanye in trouble, and everybody's getting away from Kanye now. Everybody, no one's defending his ass. You can say that he's bipolar. You can say he's mentally ill. Yeah, I saw him on Charlamagne the God's podcast, and it didn't mean a damn thing to me. I mean, frankly. He's gone. I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever going to take him seriously anymore after this, honestly. So
I don't know that many people are taking him seriously anymore anyway. We did start out talking about Elon Musk, and I hate to rewind the tape a little.
Go back to that. I did.
Like Beth brought up, the point that, you have this one guy who tries to make peace, and when it doesn't go his way, then he threatens to cut off their internet service. And it's similar to Trump. You got this one guy who feels he's popular in Israel, so there are good people over there, but he's not so popular here, so there's bad people here. Because it's about him, because these people are narcissists. And I really think that we need to look and how we satiate narcissists as humanity. We just let them kind of play out their own fantasies. And what I've seen the world moving towards, and you can even see it in the crypto movement, where you're starting to have people come up with their own currency and have like kind of privately owned currency. Corporations and larger entities are starting to take the place of governments. They have started to take the place of government now. In Elon Musk, you have a situation where kind of one guy runs this giant corporate entity because he's worth $200 billion himself personally. So he's able to kind of really like synthesize all that's wrong with the direction that's moving in. So I don't think it's just Elon Musk that's the problem. We have our share of oligarchs who are doing horrible things. Putin being one of them too. Putin
I was about to bring that
worth
up.
Tens of billions of dollars and is nuclear armed. Yes, he's the head of state in Russia, but Russia's really just Putin's property at this point. Yeah. So it's a really dangerous situation what's going on, where you have this amount of concentrated resources in the hands of small groups of people or just one guy who's fucking crazy, and we just have to recognize it, that these people are mentally ill. Just because they have a lot of money doesn't mean they're not human beings who are subject to mental illness and narcissism. They certainly are, and having a lot of money makes it worse.
See, this is one of the things that when Occupy was going on, this is one of the reasons why the libertarians are being chased away, because they was promoting oligarchies and they was trying to use Occupy to forward it. And I was getting pissed about that. And that's really the next big enemy, really. We're not fighting, and that's why, to be perfectly honest with you, I was a part of Occupy, because Occupy, contrary to what the libertarians were trying to do, Occupy was showing people, as I said before, we have options, showing people that we can pull ourselves away from the political and find our solutions elsewhere besides the political sphere, besides government, because we also had to look at what what was causing the problems, and it really wasn't the government. It was really the banks. It was really the oligarchs that were basically funding the Democrats and Republicans and whatever parties in any other part of the globe. Those are the real problem people. So
when we take the definition of fascism back too, I was just looking it up so I can make sure I had it right. The 1983 American Heritage Dictionary defined fascism as a system of government that exercises a dictatorship of the extreme right, typically through the merging of state and business leadership together with belligerent nationalism. So all this fits into this comeback of this powerful wave of fascism that we see sweeping the world.
I'm looking at, I have the fascism checklist on my wall. Let me run it down. I need a strong sense of nationalism. Patriotism revolves around the defeat of a common threat or cause. Human rights are worthy of consideration and respect. Government control of mass media. Glorification and ascendancy of the military. Fixation on national security. Power for corporations is preserved and protected.
Yeah.
That's the fascism checklist. It's on there.
And Ted, I mean, Benito Mussolini, I think, has the quote that fascism is more appropriately called corporatism because it's the merger of corporate and state power. You know, and I'll put forth that what we're seeing is even maybe a step forward from that. And you're seeing corporate power overtake state power and democratic power.
Yeah.
Which is beyond even what a fascist would want. A fascist generally has a strong man and he wants to stay in charge. He doesn't want corporations overtaking his state power. So, you know, it's kind of a step beyond fascism and one that brings on a new world that we may not know all the consequences of, you know, because it's still emerging.
I mean, just see Elon Musk throwing out a peace proposal like he's a head of state. It's just mind-boggling.
I think one of the things that's really important about the Trump era is that it unleashed a lot of people who feel comfortable doing things, openly saying that they were about things that they could not say they were about maybe just 6 years ago. Yeah, 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, you wouldn't see Elon Musk trying to pull this and be taken seriously. You wouldn't see white supremacists saying that we are back.
Yeah.
6 years ago, you know. There's a lot. I think one of the biggest things that we have to just basically deal with is the fact that we have been very successful in getting people to understand that there is a change. There is a change that's needed, and we are going to effect that change. That's why Bill Maher said what he said. I tweeted out after I heard that. It says after I heard his little diatribe against Herschel Walker and making it against us as progressives and on the left. And I said, so let me get this straight. We made the GOP crazy because we said we are not going to tolerate racism and bigotry, and we're wrong. So it's kind of like we have to maintain what it is we're doing, but we also have to up the ante. We could also use some of the resources that they use to advance our shit. Because let's face it, the resources that they use belong to us anyway. They do belong to us. I would even say even law enforcement, even the police belong to us. We just need to take it back. How can we take it back? By not reforming it, by replacing it with something that actually works, not mafia on patrol. Okay. So that's basically what we have to do with law enforcement. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. One of the things that we need to do is make sure that things are done fairly. Done. I mean, just on general principle, certain things need to be dealt with. I'm stammering because I'm trying to just get the words out. But the truth of the matter, let me get to what I'm talking about. The rights that we allow others, we allow ourselves. The rights that we disallow others, we disallow ourselves. If MS-13, which was started in Los Angeles, I made this point before. If MS-13 saw their founders kicked out of this country and sent back to El Salvador, then the leader of the Proud Boys, who was a Canadian national, needs to get his ass back over to Canada. And Canada will take care of him better than we can. Canada has listed the Proud Boys as a terrorist entity. Yeah. So Gavin McInnes needs to be held accountable for, bear in mind, last week, one of the Proud Boys pled guilty to seditionist conspiracy. The rest of the Proud Boys that are in jail for awaiting charges on waiting trial for what they did on January 6th are facing seditionist conspiracy charges as well. You have a Canadian national that founded an organization that engaged in sedition, and he is not only still here, but going to be speaking at Penn State on October 24th. In the name of free speech that he doesn't believe should be afforded anyone else, apparently. And on top of that, he's getting paid. He's getting paid with tuition dollars. Students are pissed. And and it's not just them calling this out. After what happened with the Proud Boys, and what will be happening with the Proud Boys, after looking at how much he is getting from Penn State, the whole rhetoric about how we're going to have a dialogue and how we're going to have we're trying to protect free speech that Penn State is doing, rings hollow to a lot of people who would otherwise defend it. They say, I think I was reading the Philadelphia Inquirer or something, one of these newspapers in Philly, saying no. Dude's a terrorist in his home country, and we're giving him money. We are paying for his terrorism. No, it doesn't fly. Plus, there is a safety concern because people are going to be outside protesting or inside protesting. We already know who the Proud Boys are. We already know what they want to do, have done, are trying to do. As I said, want to do, but I mean, hell. It was so bad. I mean, there was a Proud Boy that was somebody associated with the Proud Boys that was a lieutenant in the fire department in Pennsylvania, and they said we have to respect his freedom of speech. There's really we have no options. He has to remain a lieutenant in the fire department, in this fire department. So the town, which has 4 other fire departments, shut that one down. Shut the whole thing down because they wouldn't get rid of his Proud Boy. He resigned the next day. That's the attitude coming out of PA, and Gavin McInnes is going to be speaking in Penn State in the town called State College. There's going to be it looks like it's going to be a huge rally. I will go out and say that it's going to be a straight up madhouse out there because people are pissed. People are pissed all over the country about this.
This was a guy that basically wrote an article on how to date rape a woman when he was with Vice Media. I mean, this guy's got a history of all kinds of horrible things that besides trying to overthrow the United. That's like the least of his problems is that he was a member of a group that tried to overthrow the government. I mean, he's been
going back beyond overthrowing the government with him. They just happened to do that.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody to why would anybody even want to hear this guy talk? Never mind pay him to talk. I mean, I think, you got to find out who gives Penn State money. You got to call up donors and be like, I think if they hear from their donors and if you are a donor, if you've ever given money, if you know somebody that gives money, if you know alumni, they always hit up their alumni for cash. If the office starts getting calls from people who put money into the school, that's the only way you're going to stop that nonsense. But Jesus Christ, what are they thinking, man? There's a million people that could go talk there. You got to give this guy money? Just fuck. Ugh.
Well, I haven't seen what the alumni say. I know there's some Penn State officials that are criticizing the group, by the way, that's bringing him on is Uncensored America, and they are basically telling everybody that they're an organization that's supposed to champion free speech, which is why they also brought Milo Yiannopoulos to Penn State. Milo Yiannopoulos to Penn State, was there to pray the gay away, except the Protect the Children crowd, number one, should have balked at that. Number two, Penn State should have balked at that, considering Jerry Sandusky. But that's the kind of group this is. I mean, and by the way, it's not about free speech with them. If this was all about trying to advance free speech and trying to talk about unpopular speech and all of that, they would have asked Colin Kaepernick or Jamel Hill to come to speak, because they were directly attacked by the president, by Donald Trump. I'm sorry, I said president. But it's not. It's about advancing that fascism that Gavin McInnes is about. I mean, that's just the real about it. I will say, however, that people are pissed, and they don't want their money going to this, and they're going to make it clear on October 24th. Matter of fact, he's up there. He is the topic of the event, by the way, is called Stand Back and Stand By. Now, here's the important thing. Uncensored America, I tweeted this out too. So so give me a minute to pull this up. But Uncensored America had a little bit of a questionnaire that came from the city, from the college. And they asked about Gavin McInnes' history with the Proud Boys. So basically what Uncensored America did was they was asked, can you please elaborate on how this particular event will enhance the Penn State experience, considering honorea speaker Gavin McInnes being the founder of the Proud Boys? Okay. They go, over the past few months, the political environment can get heated at times. Bringing it up as comedy can be beneficial. As to his association with the Proud Boys, he has since stepped down and veered away from the Proud Boys, has condemned them for political violence. This will benefit the community because we are not used to seeing this on campus. We like to be politically correct, but this event opens the issue up while having comedic value. It will allow students to think about issues while understanding the comedic value. Now, about that. He stepped down from the Proud Boys because he wanted to this was back in November of 2018. He stepped down from the Proud Boys because he wanted to make the case easier. Case being the Proud Boys that were facing trial were arrested for attacking people that was protesting a Gavin McInnes speaking engagement at the Metropolitan Republican Club in New York City. That happened, I believe, in October 2018. I think we're coming up on the anniversary of that if we haven't passed it already. But But that was the reason why he stepped down, because he wanted to make it easier on their cases. Ironically, while they say they have he has condemned the Proud Boys for political violence, the comedic value that he had in that particular speaking engagement was to joke about the assassination of a Japanese socialist leader, was to riff off of that. So I don't know if there is any comedic value in the political violence that he has supposedly condemned. At least he wouldn't think so, according to them. But that's neither here nor there. He's still associated with the Proud Boys. Just earlier this year, he was wearing Proud Boy colors on his podcast. Even though he said he resigned from the organization, he was wearing Proud Boy colors. On a special episode of his Get Off My Lawn podcast, he was wearing a black hoodie with his name in cursive writing and the logo right across the front. So that doesn't show that he has been disavowing the Proud Boys. Not only that, but just this summer, he was wearing Proud Boy colors with other Proud Boys. And just this month, he was on his podcast saying that certain Proud Boys were disavowed. Brian James, BJ and RR, he said. Brian James. So Brian James is a Proud Boy out of Indiana, but he was a member of the white supremacist Villain the Social Club and a member of the Klan. He was a bonehead from back in the day, you know. So, and the thing is that Gavin McInnes, now put this in perspective. Now he is still associated with the Proud Boys, which is considered a terrorist entity in his country, and we have them here in this country raising money, making money. That's got to change, and that's got to change. And I said that actually on MSNBC to a congressman. I reminded people, hey, he needs to go. So I'm going to stay on that till people start taking that one seriously. So anybody got anything to say before we move on to the final thing?
I was just going to say Penn State is such a diverse campus. It was voted like best LGBTQ campus in America. I don't know. Sounds like it could get rough there.
Yeah, I know. And I'm going to tell you something else. I don't know if Brian has anything to say about it, but I got to tell you, the thing that really irks me is that I'm worried that while they're sitting there talking about how there is going to be this public discourse, I mean, we'll be able to just debate and discuss what it is that, per free speech, we're going to have an even exchange of ideas and all that. That's what that's what's on the that's what's on the cover. That's what's on the face. That's what's on paper. But also last month, Jared Taylor went to the University of Arizona to speak under that pretense. Arizona State University students weren't even allowed into the venue. If the organizers of that event deem them unworthy of being inside.
We saw that same thing at UT, Daryle, with Matthew Heimbach.
Exactly. And the attitude that I have is they can't do that here in Penn State. They can't. Because the moment you did this on the pretense of free speech and an even exchange of ideas. And we got to really start calling out those folks who, those administrators who constantly defend the free speech of fascists at the expense of ours. Because by the way, that's what we got to deal with on in November when the aforementioned Jared Taylor has his little conference down in Tennessee. By the way, November 18th through 20th, we're getting a lot of support. We still need more. And we still need people to come out for that November 18th to the 20th. We're getting people coming out. Check out you can always go to idavox.com, go to the sidebar, and and just click on the logo, and it'll take you to a page that will tell you everything you need to know. And by the way, we're also going to be putting up a list of phone numbers that you can call to ask why the hell are they having that conference? Next year is going to be 10 years. So, all right, y'all. Do we have anything that we need to plug? Anything that we need to say? I know I do, but Beth, is there anything? Oh, by the way, yeah, Foster Woods is one of the endorsers of the American Renaissance Conference. So of the opposition to the American Renaissance Conference.
That's right. That's right. We're just plugging on, trying to fill in holes about history and literature, and give young people in education with this eco-social justice framework. So check us out.
All right. Brian, what you got going?
Nothing to plug, but I'll remind all my comrades that it's good to take care of yourself. I've moved to Maine a couple of years ago. I've taken up hiking and spending more time with my family. It's good to get your head out the game and to enjoy the world around you, because you got to remind yourself that there's beautiful stuff out there. So make sure you all take care of yourselves, and hope to be down in New Jersey soon, and maybe you join a protest or two while I'm in there. I don't get enough of that in my life up here. So thanks a lot, man.
And as for me, I am, you can always find me at onepeoplesproject.com, idavox.com, at D. Lamont Jenkins on Twitter and Instagram. And we're going to be starting fundraisers early, because we are in desperate need of money before year's end. Our winter fundraiser is our fall/winter fundraiser is going to start in the next couple of days, because it's not only are we trying to just make sure we have money to keep the lights on in this place, but we also want to try to make sure that we have money for to help people out with our travel and the work that we're doing against the American Renaissance Conference and everything. So we're starting early. Because it's been nothing but busy since summer for us, and nothing slowed down because it's getting colder. So we're going to need you. So we're going to need your help. And don't forget, we also have T-shirts. We have beanies. We have bumper stickers. We have pins. We have everything that your Antifa heart may desire. So just hit us up at all those places I told you to hit us up at. onepeoplesproject.com, idavox.com, and so on, and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And I'm going. And what's that?
And Patreon now.
And Patreon now. Yeah, I keep forgetting because I don't know what to do with Patreon, but I'm going to put it up on our site.
It's going to be cool when you figure it out.
When I figure it out, yes, somebody's going to help me work on Patreon. But we're going to put the Patreon link on our website tonight. I'll do it as soon as I get off this thing. So by the time you watching this, there's a Patreon link. I still don't know what to do with it.
But sign up for Patreon. We're going to figure it out. You may have the opportunity for an exclusive conversation with the famous Daryle Lamont Jenkins if you become a patron.
Yeah, I like that idea. Okay, we'll write that down. No, we're not doing OnlyFans. Screw that. Yes, I have an OnlyFans account. No, I don't. All those people that were wondering about me in porn. No, I don't have an OnlyFans account. What was I saying? I'm lost. Oh, yes. And I am on TikTok now. I've been on TikTok. At Notorious DLJ. I don't know what I'm doing with that either. So
I can help with Patreon. I've not figured out TikTok.
I mean, TikTok is basically, I don't know. Everybody's leaving Twitter to go to TikTok, but that means I have to do more pictures.
Christian knows TikTok. He's missing. He's our TikTok guy. Yeah, he knows TikTok.
Yeah, and so does Cora. Cora is one of our OPP folks, and
there you go.
She can she probably have to help me out with that. She's trying. She was at the show with us, with me and Christian. So we had a good Christian, why aren't you here? All right, we're gonna not only are we gonna have a good time talking about this show, but I think the next show I'm gonna try to get paid. I'm trying to get Not-for-Profit on here. It's time. We haven't had him on yet, and it's time. I'm gonna ask him if he can make himself available. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. It's 20-9 as we speak, according to the clock. And the reason why I'm saying that is 20-9 on Sunday, which means in 20 minutes, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones is on. So I'm gonna go watch that.
All right, I'm going to bed.
I'm going to go ride paper.
All right, y'all. Peace.